All right. And we are live. Isaiah.
Hey everybody, this is Isaiah Colton, and I have Ron Mazza, Kyle Crawford, and Ron Houlihan with me. We're actually doing a training for our brokerage, Realty Home Advisors, here this morning, and we decided to go live in the group so you guys can hear all the things we're talking about, working on, and things we're doing to build and scale our business. So hope you guys enjoy today's session. We're going to be talking a lot about prospecting over the coming weeks, because at the end of the day, one of the things that I know is that as great as digital marketing is, as great as lead generation is, and all these other cool things that people talk about that are out there, if you don't have the right tools, systems, and mindset in place to be able to effectively go out there and convert leads into deals, nothing else matters. Does that make sense to everybody else? Right? So like, what else really matters, right? So we're big on tech here, but also too, we're big on fundamentals and making sure that the fundamentals are in place. And so today we're going to be talking about the mindset of what I would call an elite prospector, or the mindset of a rainmaker, somebody that has the capability of creating booked appointments and sales pretty much on demand whenever they want to. And how do you get to that level? Starts with your mindset, first and foremost. So I want to kind of just talk about that, and start off with a quote, and hopefully this will kind of get our conversation going this morning, and then start going through some of the some of the real life, I guess. If you look at the top producers and you look at their mindset, there's certain characteristics, right? So we can dive into those. So with the quote, this is a quote actually by Charles S. DeWick, and he says, "We like to think of our champions and idols as superheroes who were born different from us. We don't like to think of them as relatively ordinary people who made themselves extraordinary." And I think that's so cool, because oftentimes we think that we look at somebody who is really successful and we're like, man, they just have to be smarter, or like, they just must know everybody, right? And don't get me wrong, some people have certain, advantages or whatever it may be, but there's a lot of very ordinary people that become extremely successful. And I love that quote, because I came from a very humble background, where I wasn't given anything special, and I had to work my butt off and read and learn and grow and overcome my fears. And so it resonated with me. Ron, what does that quote say to you when you hear that quote? You're on mute.
What we always do is we always look at the top producer and say, gosh, I really like to be like that. Or, boy, how do they get all the business? And I'm not talking out of jealousy, but yeah. I think there's admiration there as well. But what I tell people, and if you think of that quote, is watch them, learn from them, talk to them. Believe me when I tell you, you can learn by watching people, and find out. Just ask them, what do you do what's your day like? Yep. And believe me when I tell you, you'll be shocked, especially if you're talking to a rainmaker.
Yeah, that's good. That's strong. How about you guys? When you read that quote, what do you guys think about, Ron and Kyle?
Yeah, I think it's because I'm a huge sports fan, and when I see like people like Michael Jordan or LeBron James, for example, Tiger Woods, like a lot of these top athletes, we just watch them during the game, or for Tiger Woods, huge golfer, watch him on the weekend or on Sunday, and we just think that he just has this special talent, like he's so good, but you don't see a lot of the hard work, the dedication, the commitment, all the training, everything that goes into the result, which is the championships, the titles, all the money that's earned. So yeah, I think if you want to make a sports analogy, I think that's the right one.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a really good point. We don't pay attention to really think about everything that's happening, and I think that we got to be upfront with ourselves and and are we actually actively looking? I think Ron said it, like, are we looking for those clues? Like, and one of my favorite sayings by Tony Robbins, he says, success leaves clues, right? So, and I think like if you look at history, whether you're talking about Aristotle or a modern day leader, they all kind of talk about not reinventing the wheel, right? Like it's all pretty much, the success, the clues are out there. And so I think it's important what Ron said too, is studying the mindset of a top rainmaker, and learning what they do when they face challenges, learning what they do on how they consistently keep themselves motivated and and keep adopting and growing. And one of the things too, like just bring it back to real estate, what I found is the top producers that I'm able to work with is they have a mindset where they're hyper focused on their pipeline. Like they are so focused because they know fundamentally if they're not following up or if they don't have enough in their pipeline, nothing else matters. And that's why they crush their goals constantly, because there's nothing, they're just hyper focused on figuring out ways to fill their pipeline. And because there's really only two ways to grow your sales. And initially anyway, it's either talk to more people or get better at converting and not have to talk to quite as many people. Right. But those are really the only two ways to scale your business. And that's the hyper focus on your pipeline. Right. So, Ron, some characteristics that I think are required, with that mindset. And I think Ron Houlihan, Mike is picking up their speaker and creating an echo. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If everyone can mute out that's not talking, would be great. Am I echoing or am I good?
Robert Bowles just came in, so it might be him.
Oh, okay. Got it.
There you go. How are you?
Hey, Robert, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. So, so let's talk about some of the characteristics. One of the things I find is that, top producers are extremely optimistic and enthusiastic. So Ron, when you hear that, what does that mean to you? I mean, all the agents you've trained in your life, what does that mean? What do you see when you hear, or what do you think about optimistic, enthusiastic?
Well, everybody's jazzed up when they come into the business or whatever. It's like, whoa, baby, it's a new job. It's going to be a new career. And,
Yeah.
they see what's going on around them, especially if they keep all the positive people around them. And, but then when they get into it, they realize this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, this is hard work. There's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
It's that you get rid of all that lace and cloud, that sunshine and everything, and let's get into the storm. Let's find out what it's really about.
Yeah.
And there's so much to learn. So, it's just, but, like I said, well, we're talking about Rainmakers. The first thing I did back in 1986 is I became a leech on the skin of the top producer in that office. I'll tell you right now, that gal couldn't get rid of me. Loved me, couldn't get rid of me. And boy, I'll tell you, she taught me so much, so fast, just by letting me watch her.
That's smart.
But again, it's that, misconception when people first go into the business,
How'd you get over the bad days as a Rainmaker?
Basically, it was like, okay, I accepted this is what I want to do, and I want to be the best I can. Believe it or not, you talk about quotes. I love Albert Einstein. Love him. Yeah. And I love his hair. That's what I really But Albert Einstein said, strive not to be a success, but to be of value. And that really hit me hard.
That's
and
strong.
It was just what value do I bring to the table? And I'm watching these Rainmakers and I'm going, God, they have a lot of value because their marketing plans are written down. This, that, and the other thing taught me so much. Even as a trainer, some of these top agents have taught me so much.
Oh yeah.
But again, it's just be of value.
Awesome. Awesome. That's really good. And then competitiveness, right? So, one of the things that I think is important is what I see anyway. A lot of them are fierce competitors, not in in a bad way, but they just want to win, right? So they just want to win. I think, it's like they kind of wake up in the morning, they're like, all right, they're preparing for the battle and they're going to do whatever it takes to win. They're not going to be stopped. So that's another thing. And
they're not about the battles, Isaiah. They're going, you win the battle, I'm winning the war.
Right. Right. That's good. I think also too, obviously you can't deny confidence. So, particularly when you're talking about prospecting, bringing it back to having the ability to basically control your outcomes. Prospecting is the number one way to do that. And if you don't have confidence, right, and you're constantly questioning every call, or you're dealing with this fear, right, so to speak, of what the outcome's going to be, very hard to get results. So how do you overcome? We're going to talk more about that a different day, but how do you overcome that fear of prospecting? And I would say probably the number one reason why people aren't consistent, right, is because of the fear of going out there and prospecting. And I don't mean just calling, too, networking, sending text, emails, whatever your way of getting in front of people is, right? Because there's a lot of ways to do it, but just, talk a little bit about that, Ron, if you would.
The first fear is rejection.
Yeah.
And everybody's so afraid of that. And I tell agents all the time, it's business. It's just business. It's not personal. They probably love you outside of this, but right now this is business. So naturally there's going to be pushback. And the hard part is, what do I do when I get pushback? And again, that's because they don't have systems to help them with their scripts and things like that. So rejection, to me, you can overcome that.
Yeah.
But sometimes it requires a lot of mindset to keep, okay, it's just business. And that word next, next type thing. But then get training, because you'll learn that, and we're going to talk about this, the training part of it in these with scripts and things. But you need to be able to know, okay, when the rejection comes, I don't have to deal with it. I need to handle it. And that's the difference.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're listening here today and you're like, I would really like more training on the topic of mindset and knowing, and just really putting a system in place to help me keep my belief level high and put myself in a state of confidence. We have an awesome training we're going to run on Tuesday on how to overcome your fear of prospecting and following up. And it's a really, really powerful training. So make sure you tune into that, because it's changed a lot of people's mindsets, and it's also changed their bank account when they've been able to overcome that, their fear of prospecting. So that's awesome, Ron. So when it comes to, let's talk about, another characteristic is they're freaking relentless, right? So they're freaking relentless, and they use rejection. One of the things I find, and this is something that I adopted early on, having a lot of obstacles, that I felt, we all have obstacles, but they use rejection and almost like situational problems as fuel, right? As motivation, right? To push through. It actually drives them harder when they get rejection. So one of the things I notice is that I function better if somebody tells me I can't do something. Tell me I can't do it. You're done. Give me in enough time, I will figure it out. Right. If I really want to do it. And so I think you mentioned the word rejection, Ron, right? So does anyone have any thoughts on that? Like how they process rejection, and let's talk about when it happens, because let's face it, if you're going to be in real estate, you're going to get rejection every single freaking day. So I don't want to be too straightforward about it, but if we can't get over the fear of rejection, right? Should we even be in real estate? I'm just being upfront. I'm just asking the honest question, right? and because it's part of the business, right? And I had a saying, Kyle's heard this training. One of the ways that, and I'll just start off this conversation. I want everyone to chime in here and just brainstorm ideas how we can overcome this fear of rejection. But for me, I was, when I first started prospecting in a different career, I remember, I'll never forget making my first call, and it was actually to a family member, and I felt so awkward and nervous, and I never forget the hot feeling in my face. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, that hot feeling when you're like, it's like not a sweat, but you feel like you're like breaking out in hives or something in your face. It's like, and I never forget that first feeling of the phone call. And honestly, I'm like, why? And I just sat there and said, do I really want to do this? Right. And, what helped me personally is, understanding and realizing that rejection is not a personal thing, right? It's not something that I have to internalize, and it's going to hurt my soul because somebody doesn't like me, right? So I started processing through that, and I just started actually, once I realized there's nothing that I could do to run away from rejection, I started embracing it. And I would come up with things like, I love objections. Like I literally would say that to myself in the morning, is I freaking love objections, because if I don't get objections, I can't make money. If I'm not getting at least 5 objections a day, that means I'm probably not going to make any money that day unless somebody refers somebody to me. Right. So that's how I did it. I want to hear from everybody else. Is I actually looked at rejection as a positive thing, because it was part of the process for me to get to where I wanted to go. So it's sales, it's a numbers game. Analyze the rejection, examine it. If you did anything wrong, or if you can do something better, it's good. Awesome. Yep, for sure. Thanks for putting that in the chat. It's good stuff. It's very true. Anybody else have anything? Because this is really important. I think if you can't overcome rejection, you fear of rejection, what are we doing, right? So
most people relate to rejection as failure.
Yeah.
Well, if you start thinking around those words, you get rid of the word failure or fail, get rid of, and then add, replace it with the word next. And then think about, what's a better word for fail, or what is fail? It's a first attempt in learning.
Yeah.
Because when you get objections and you don't have a good base to handle an objection, now you can learn, because you okay, I don't want to get that again, or when I get it next time, I'll say this.
Yeah.
You didn't fail, you learn from it. So what a lot of people, they look at that rejection thing. It's not that you're talking to someone that doesn't know you.
Yep.
Okay. So if they don't know you, how can they reject you? They're rejecting what you're saying, or they're rejecting the way you're coming across to them. And you have to find out what that is.
That's good.
I like one of the things you taught me was one of the first books you read was Fail Faster. And like Ron just mentioned, the more that you fail, it's just a learning mechanism. So when you fail more, you learn more, and you want to fail faster because you want to learn faster. And then the more you learn, that's where your confidence comes in. I feel like a lot of fear comes from ignorance.
That's really good.
Yeah. Ignorance is just if you don't know something. So you're going to have that fear. If you don't know something, you're not going to have the confidence. So if you have that knowledge, you have that experience, you're going to have more confidence. And then that's going to come across more in your tone, Ron, like you just mentioned, and have better results. So I like that concept of fail faster.
That's strong. It's so true. If you look at the people that have been really successful in real estate, they found ways to fail faster. They just learn quicker, right? So it's a combination of things. It's modeling, and being willing to take the experience in as not a failure, right? So those are the 2 takeaways that I've got from this conversation. On to our next Ron, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, we learned through, because I did construction for a long time, when there's been an accident, you go back and you corkscrew around to before the accident, and you look at what caused the accident, what underlying things were there, and you try to fix those for the next time that something happens.
That's really good. It's so true. Because that's usually where it's hanging out. It's not what happened here. It was something before it, right? So that's good.
How do you notice that, or how do you really get that feedback? So I feel like in, construction, for example, like you just mentioned, Ron, where if something happens, something bad, you have like kind of a group of people that will come back and analyze, what were the underlying causes of that. But maybe in your day-to-day, when you're dealing with that rejection, how do you really pinpoint what it is that is maybe going wrong? Is that where you kind of have a mastermind group, where you have people like this that kind of get together and can kind of analyze a certain situation where you can point out what's going wrong? Or how do you just become aware of maybe some things that you're doing wrong that you can improve upon?
We actually did sit down and do like a little mastermind. We'd bring up all of the events that came, how the conversation went, or what was going on, and trying to pick out the little things that may have caused you to step forward into that mistake and getting the accident at that point, or losing the connection with the person. Maybe you went off topic and they just lost connection with you at that point.
Yeah, that's good. And I think that brings us to the next thing, is having a thirst for knowledge, and having kind of a system or a model that you can follow. And I'm sure in construction it was the same way, right? You have certain systems, they have to operate a certain way, and if you have that model in place, it makes it a lot easier to identify it, where there's not really shouldn't be much mystery at a certain point in your career, right? Or if you have the right model in place, it takes the mystery out of it, right? I'm sure construction was that way too. Sometimes it's a little harder to figure out, but overall, like, okay, well, if I just follow this blueprint, pretty much it's going to get built the right way. If it's when I didn't follow the blueprint, right, that it didn't get built the right way.
That's why, like Ron will tell you to practice the scripts. You'll tell us to practice the scripts.
Yeah.
Because the more you internalize it and know it, the more likely you're going to be able to overcome those obstacles when they come up.
That's right. And that's where Kyle, why that 7 steps document, where you go in and you look at each 7 steps of the prospecting methodology is so huge for me, because it keeps me in the framework of that blueprint, that model. So good. We're just wrapping it up here. There's a couple other things I think are important to talk about, is being systematic and efficient. If you look at Rainmakers, they're very systematic. They're extremely efficient, and they don't spend a lot of time. Once they get their system set up, they take action, right? So, and they function within that framework as much as possible. So, what are some ways, do you think, Ron, that Ron Mazza, do you think somebody can really become more systematic and efficient with their time?
Well, first of all, time management is huge in our business. And the first thing I would suggest is a business plan. And, your business plan is based on what income you want to do, how many transactions you need, how do I get there, then break it down into my day, into my month. Like we were talking in another training program yesterday about a calendar. Isaiah, you have a phenomenal calendar, a prospecting calendar, and it just talks about, okay, this is what I do on Monday, this is what I do on Tuesday, Wednesday. It goes on and on. Every month is laid out. You got to remember now, Rainmaker has that right here. They have it in their head. But until you are there, you need some kind of a system, and you need to stick to it. And no matter how uncomfortable it gets, you need to find a way. And a lot of people, they say, well, I got to take care of this. I can't do this today. That's an excuse. You can always take care of it later. The bottom line is to-do lists, the very basic stuff of business, to-do list, write it down, plan it. Where do I want to go? Check it every month. How am I doing? But that's the best way to do it until your mindset is, I do this unconsciously. This is how I work.
That's good. And just as a quick reminder for everybody watching, if you go to the ultimatelistingsmachine.com and you can actually click into the Sales and Marketing Secrets Workbook, and there's a document right there. It's called The Perfect Day in Real Estate, which I hate that title because that's BS. There's never a perfect day in real estate. But until I can come up with a better title for it, that's what it's called. So, but yeah, that's right. So, but it gives you a really good framework of how to manage your time best to maximize the results that you're looking for. And then also, this is something too that has helped me tremendously. It's a productivity tracker. So what it does, it has all the core things that you should be doing each day for your business, and you can track it, and you can mark down what your goal was versus your actuals, and you can keep track of your basically your activities, and then also what's coming out of those activities, because you're doing the right things every day. So it's really simple. You just go in there and you click on the button. It's right on the front of the page. You can download it. Feel free to make it your own. And then also too, just if you're watching this video, as a reminder, making sure that you're joining our workshops, where literally we have sales and marketing group coaching on a weekly basis. We do workbook implementation. Kyle's doing that every morning at 9 o'clock, where he's prospecting. Yep, he's prospecting, or somebody else, another agent or ISA, is prospecting and implementing the workbook every morning at 9 o'clock. And so you tune into that, get on with him, join the meeting, take that time to turn everything else off and just prospect for an hour. Or, if you want to send out an email blast, right, or whatever, Kyle can help you do that. And then we have daily live role play. If you want to get better at prospecting, at 1:15. We do daily prospecting and role play, just to sharpen each other's axe to get a little bit better. So tune into those things. These things, this is all there as the framework to build and scale your business, and really adopt those traits as a Rainmaker. If you're wondering what to say, right, and how to say it, right here is all the scripts and dialogues that you'd ever need, depending on what type of lead if you're trying to call SOI, it gives 3 or 4 different examples, expired listings, how to overcome objections. So it's all right there. And so what we like to do is take the first hour in the morning, and take, if you're part of our team, Realty Home Advisors, we do training Tuesday, Thursday, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you should be sharpening your own axe, going through some of these materials, saying, hey, look, how can I use this to get better? And then when the 9 o'clock hour hits, right, go at it. And from 9 to 11, don't have any distractions. And Kyle is there to help and guide any way that he can along the way, through these best practices. And one of the things I love about Kyle, not only is he good with the marketing side of it, but he actually was one of the top performing inside sales agents that I had in my company before he transitioned into the sales and marketing role. So he is a master at prospecting as well. So it's Kyle, really excited to have you kind of doing that every single day there, and encourage everybody that's watching this video, and also people that are with us, to plug in to these things as much as they possibly can. And not only learning how to use the tech. I mean, let's talk about tech for a second. Here's the thing: Rainmakers leverage technology too, right? So Rainmakers, if you can get your multi-channel marketing approach up and running, right? You get that going, and then you're leveraging your prospecting with it. Whew, boy, it's really hard not to do 30, 40 transactions in your sleep without referrals, let alone anybody you're getting referred to. And I don't mean to make it sound that simple, but if you stay focused, you can do a lot of business with this system. A lot of business.
Using that technology and managing your time. If you go back to that, Isaiah, where all of the different live streams are, if you click that, you'll be able to register, and then you can put it right in your calendar. So when you're using your calendar on your laptop or on your phone, I don't know, if you click one of those, just put it in you can put it right in your calendar. That's going to give you notifications. It's going to, you can set reminders, set notifications, whatever. Just make sure that you put that in your calendar. If you want, I'll send you an invite where you can be on this every single day, or you can be on this Tuesday, Thursday, and then just start making a habit of it, of putting these things in your calendar and just tuning in little by little every single day.
I'm glad actually you said that, because we switched these links out to be more of a meeting setting instead of the webinar setting. So I think Clara has to go back in there.
Okay. I'll make a note of that
and get these links fixed. If you could contact her like right after, that'd be great. So that way people can go in there and register. Awesome. Well, just kind of just wrapping up this conversation here. One of the things that I think is really important is to make sure that we stay adaptive and flexible. Meaning, we're willing to try new things, right? And we're willing to say, hey, look, I'm not used to this. Hey, pups, what's up, man? We're willing to try new things and stay flexible with the changes that are happening in the industry, new ideas and better strategies, trying new scripts, trying new ways of handling objections. And to me, that's what keeps it exciting. Is if I can look at something and I can break it down, or if I got an objection, or if I get a new tool, and I can just find ways to constantly sharpen my axe, right? Sharpen my axe. So anything else you guys want to say before we before we wrap it up here today?
Isaiah, just one thing I'd like to say is don't be afraid to practice on real people, real clients, because they're going to give you real objections that you can handle. And, it's believe me when I tell you, if you practice and you've worked in our system and you've learned, you're going to go like this in your head. You're going to go, oh boy, I can't wait to say this. Let's see if it works.
That's good. That's really
good.
Good.
Speaking of that, if there's anything that anybody wants to bring to the table, I think before we kind of sign off here, maybe getting in the habit of sharpening our axe for real. So if there's one thing that we want to go over, or maybe role play, or something that we've dealt with, something that we're struggling with, bring it to the table and kind of use that.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's good. We got about 6 minutes here, so we're good. We definitely got some time to do that. If anyone has been running into anything we want to talk about. And I think what we'll do is just kind of make that part of the routine. Kyle, I think it's I think it's really good.
Isaiah, Robert's asking where the scripts are and where the link is to the workbook.
Okay. So Robert, if you go to the ultimatelylistingmachine.com, you should have a login. If you don't have your login, go to support@rapsuccess.com. And let them know that you need to get your login, or get a login, or get it redone. And Kyle, if you would just follow up on that, just to make sure support gets back to him in time. And
if you want to email support@rapsuccess.com, and then either blind carbon copy me in, or just copy me into that email. And if you don't get a response within 24 hours that they're supposed to get back, I will take care of that for you as soon as possible.
Awesome. That's great. So yeah, that's really good. Any other questions here before we sign off? Okay. So again, Isaiah Colton here with my Realty Home Advisor family. Love you guys. I think I'm excited about the future of Realty Home Advisors and what we're doing, and to everybody in the Rent Success community that might be watching this, or if you end up watching this on recording later as part of our prospecting mastery course, just remember that Rainmakers are fanatical about prospecting. They are hyper focused on it, and there's a lot of ways to tackle prospecting, but it's a major part of their day, and it's the quickest, fastest way to scale your business. And that's what this training is all about, is adopting the mindset of somebody who's hyper focused on prospecting and what Rainmakers do to build their business. And with that, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and take the 9 o'clock, take this next hour. If you're watching this in the morning, take this next hour and take immediate action, and go out there and implement some of these strategies and follow that perfect day plan, and stay consistent with it. You'll be shocked at your results, and I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. Thanks, guys.